Welcome to Supernatural. Ah, crapola. I haven't even gotten. Let's try that again. Hello, and welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
We are excited to have a special guest with us. We'll be introducing in just a moment. But before then, thanks for joining us for season 2, episode 3, Bloodlust. We model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over 21. No one will be driving, handling weapons, operating heavy machinery, or mutilating cattle. If you're playing along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. If you saw our podcast for season 1, episode 6, Skin, you may remember Andy's fight notes. Andy wasn't able to join us for recording then, so he sent in comments. But this time he is live and in person. And we are very excited to welcome Andy to the podcast. Hi, Andy.
Yay!
Why don't you give us a brief introduction and tell us what your experience is with Supernatural and what you're drinking this evening?
I am a college friend. Well, I've been friends since college with Lynn and Liz. And after we graduated, I started doing martial arts because I didn't have a swim coach to tell me what to do anymore. So I needed to get into something where someone was actively telling me, you do this, do that. And martial arts was good fit. And I always wanted to do them when I was a kid too. I have done uh, a couple of years of karate. I've done about 12 years of taekwondo. I have probably 10 or 12 years of aikido, and I'm currently on Brazilian jiu-jitsu with a little bit of like judo and other stuff mixed in there as well. I've done a little bit of kickboxing stuff too. Never competed because I'm done getting hit in the head. Um, but that's my expertise as far as martial arts go, and why I was
How
asked to
many
do fight
black
notes.
belts do you have? I know I'm
Three.
interrupting you. How many do you have?
I have three.
That's it?
Three.
So
I,
yeah,
I
I
thought
have
you had
three.
more than that, actually.
Oh,
No,
oh,
I
come on.
honestly thought you
Like
had more than that. That's a
like
compliment.
3 isn't enough.
No,
Oh, I'm
well,
working.
no, I honestly thought it was gonna be like 4 or 5.
You slacker.
I'll go try harder. I'm currently working on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's a notoriously long time to get your black belt in that. So I figure if I'm lucky in another 10 years, if I could still do it by then maybe I'll have a black belt in BJJ. But as far as Supernatural goes, I don't have that much experience. I've seen a couple of episodes and I've seen multiple fights that I've gone through and dissected, including some from tonight. But otherwise, I don't have too much supernatural experience. I'm a couple episodes in on this podcast, but I'm not too far yet.
Right. Fantastic. Well, we're very
Oh,
excited
oh,
to
do I have to
have you
say
with
what
us.
I'm drinking?
Yes. What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking a fresh frosty glass of water.
Ah, very
So
Uh,
nice.
exciting.
I I'm a teacher, and I don't know if I ever signed a morals clause or something like that, but I figured just to stay on the safe side, I will be drinking water.
Y- You know what? That is one of our main rules is, we're adults and no one ever has to drink if they don't want to. That is a perfectly viable choice.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
Lynn, how about you? Speaking of which, what are you drinking this evening?
Well, because my stomach and I are having a slight disagreement today,
Oh,
so I am going for good old ginger ale.
got a ginger ale. Well, the featured cocktail this evening is called Bella's Bloodlust. It
Ooh.
is 2 ounces of black vodka. And if the thought that went through your head just now was, oh, where do I get black vodka? I'm so glad you asked. You take one 750 milliliter bottle of regular clear vodka, and to that, you add chemical food dyes. And the proportion is 10 drops of blue food coloring, 10 drops of red food coloring, and 8 drops of green food coloring. And if your next question was, won't that dye your teeth black? Well, we're about to find out. so,
My next
so
question was gonna be is you don't like vodka.
I don't, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles with the recipe. So yeah, so again, 2 ounces of black vodka, 1 ounce of pomegranate juice, 1/2 ounce of blackberry liqueur, one half
Okay.
ounce of lime juice, and 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. Chuck all that
Okay.
into a shaker with some ice, shake it up, strain, and serve.
Actually,
And then
that might actually be a good one. Like the
we're gonna
flavors might actually mask the vodka. So well, for you, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
for me, yeah, like that might actually be one I gotta try.
We're gonna find Andy. You're furrowing your brow.
So, do you have it to show us?
Oh
I do, and
'Cause
yeah, we will.
my conception of it is that it would look like you're drinking motor oil, but
It's interesting that you say that.
yeah.
So, well, let's check our Stupornatural game cards. So, Wizard Dave, if you could bring those up for us, please. I gotta. I don't have a great feeling about mine.
Uh, I think I've got 4 or 5, maybe,
Okay.
and they're definitely not in a row.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have a great feeling. Andy, do you have any conception at all?
I I mean, I did watch the episode, and
Right, but
but but
let's.
I'm only meeting my bingo card tonight here.
Well, yeah, no, we don't look at them ahead of time. So,
Oh,
No.
okay.
yeah, I don't know. I'm taking a glance at yours. I don't have a strong feeling. Okay, well, this could get interesting. So,
I think I've
Yeah.
got at least
as
2.
Okay, well, hopefully we can get you more than two. If you're playing along with us, there is a link for you to generate a card of your own in the link tree. Until then, as always, the first one is on the house. So, Andy, here you go. Here it
Yes,
is.
I say the best is watching her facial expressions.
Here goes nothing. So, cheers.
Cheers.
It's pretty good.
I was gonna say that the flavor, as soon as you start talking, I'm like, you know what? That might actually be a good one.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good.
Significantly better than last week's.
Yeah, although last week's it wasn't awful. I mean, again, Asylum set the bar. So,
Well, how
yeah.
are your teeth though?
Hmm?
Are your teeth blackened?
No, they're still pretty pearly white.
What I'm waiting to see is what my tongue looks like at the end of the evening. So we'll check that. We'll check that. We're done. So, all right. With that, let's get the show on the road.
Alrighty. So, there we go. So, like this season, we start out with the then. So, we're doing the recap. And this is very heavily based on John. And we start out with really Dean's sort of devotion and unwavering devotion to John and Dead Man's blood, and then the argument that they had after the car accident in the season finale. And you see with the yellow eyed demon where he's pretty much kind of taunting him and saying like
Mhm.
that the boys will never understand the sacrifice, and then with the death of John. And oh, I still love that coffee cup scene.
That was
And
an
then
amazing shot. Yeah, they milk that for all it's worth.
They really do. And then, of course, my favorite scene is watching Dean here go to town on the Impala out of his frustration for John.
Yeah.
So, and now, of course, we're back to now, and we are in Red Lodge, Montana.
Hmm.
And we already can get a sense that this girl's night is not going to end well. And as she's running through, and I'll admit, this actress, I tried to do a little bit of research. She looks familiar, but I could
Mm.
not get her name, but she looked quite familiar. So yeah, as she is running through this forest, you knowing Supernatural, you know that this is not going to end well for her, especially since one usually hiding behind a tree does not bode
Yeah.
well.
Well, I mean, this is such a horror flick trope, though, right? Like with the
Yeah.
girl running and she falls, giving the person chasing her, the thing chasing her time to catch up, and it, you know, it, it's
And there goes her
they're
title.
setting up something here.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. So, and then of course we have the title card,
We
the
do.
Supernatural title card.
We do indeed, and I would call that a gratuitous blood spatter.
Oh, it absolutely is. If
Yeah.
that isn't one, I don't know what is.
Yeah, so we've paused it here on the title card, and the only other thing I want to point out here is we got a really good look at the weapon that
Hmm.
whatever killed this woman, it was carrying a very, very characteristic scythe-looking thing. So that we've deliberately been shown a good look at that. That may or may not be important. So let's check our cards here for a blood spatter.
Yeah, I don't think I have one.
I don't believe I do either.
No,
I
which
think
is
I'm coming up dry, but I get to do the pentagram in the middle, right? Oh, excuse me, that's a pentacle.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, you get it,
Yeah,
Fremont.
that's my
Well, you know
that's my
what?
freebie.
That's yes, always make sure you get your free square. I'm
Yeah.
drinking for three, apparently, so I'm cheating.
Yeah. I say we.
I don't get a square, but I'm thirsty. So, okay, well,
Yeah.
since we've got a giant goose egg, I guess that means we're moving on. Um,
Yes.
Before we hit play, the song that's going to be playing over the next segment is AC/DC's Back in Black. Um, and this is the very first time, this is momentous. This is the very first time Dean calls the Impala baby. That up until this point, the fans had dubbed her the metallic car.
Okay. Yeah, no, I had actually finally notated the song, which I always
Ah,
forget.
you got it. You got it. I was too
I
fast for
actually
you.
had it. I actually had it notated. Um,
We're hitting play, and
yeah,
I have been too fast for Portland. So,
that's all right. I forgive you. No,
thank you.
this this scene though cracks me up
Oh, this is
because we get
great.
yeah. So we've got Dean and Sam, of course, in the Impala cruising down, and Dean is in an exceptionally good mood.
This is the
As
happiest we've seen him in a couple of episodes.
yeah, in quite
Oh,
a while. And
and baby, so sexy.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, listening to that thing for and I love this line from Sam where he says, "If you two want to get a room, just let me know." And and, and he goes, "Don't listen to him, baby. He doesn't understand the two of us."
He doesn't
And
understand.
I love this.
I'm just hoping for a tire squeal.
That would be lovely if we had one.
As
Unfortunately, they're sort of
as they are
cruising at the moment.
neither yeah, they are neither coming to a sudden halt nor getting to a sudden start. I think
Right,
nope,
correct.
there it
Or
goes.
like pulling onto the highway. I do love that little line though, where Dean says, "Hey, how far is it to Red Lodge?" And Sam says, "Oh, about 300 miles." And Dean just says, "Good." And like you see the car accelerate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this blonde actress who just well, she's not an actress. This blonde here who just poked her head in. That is Jensen's sister, Mackenzie.
Oh,
So, who is lovely. She's going to pop up a couple of times throughout the show when he has an opportunity. He wrangled a little walk-on role for her.
so I feel like this actor, I feel like I've seen him before, the sheriff, and I could not find his IMDb thing to figure
Mm.
it out. But I'm like that his face looks so familiar to me.
Yeah, he's probably one of those character actors that, you just see in everything. But, guy at bar number three kind of roles.
Maybe.
Uh,
I don't know. I kept staring like I feel like I've
he,
seen him in something, but could not
I
put
would,
my
yeah,
I feel like he could have been Wilford Brimley Jr.'s stunt double.
he does. And it's funny you mentioned that because Wilford Brimley Jr. does have a role that he plays later in the series. So, we got Wish.com, Wilford Brimley Jr., and then we'll get the real Wilford Brimley Jr. later.
So what's so frustrating though about these last two scenes is they impersonate two different sets of people. Like we get the press, and then we have them impersonating whether it's doctors or nurses, and neither one do they pull out a fake ID.
I
And I'm
know,
like,
so frustrating.
yeah, especially since I have one of those. I'm like,
I
son
know.
of a bitch. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
we haven't gotten one
guys.
of those yet either.
Yeah, I know. Don't haven't. So yeah, I love it when he
This
goes. You
gets
got
me though. Like, so they pick up the tub,
yeah.
Dean takes the lid off, and then you look, and the face is clearly sticking up above the edge of the container. Like, that lid should not have closed with her face sticking up like that. So,
Well, unless of course there's a slight lip to the container, cause
yeah,
like
which there wasn't. I mean, we can see it sitting there, but I love this fight too with the boys, where they're like, "Who's got to examine the severed head?"
yeah, it's kind of like what's no, you're what's no, you're what's. It's like I love this. Dean, get me a bucket. Fine's
Yeah,
like, no, I'm gonna puke.
I'm gonna puke.
And
But
then of course Dean's got to find something. It's like, really,
Dean
do you
spots
want me
something.
to puke? It's like, no, but and
Oh,
it's like, oh really? And,
I will
and
say this though, like from a practical effect standpoint, this is really good. Like
mm-hmm.
this is a fake head, and like the gimmick with like Dean pushing on the gum and the fang descending, like that's pretty cool. I think you know, gold star to the special
Yeah,
effects department. They did a good job with that.
absolutely, 100%. And especially since the last couple, I've not been very impressed with the special effects. So I much better.
Yeah.
So now, of course, we're in a bar, and
Camera lingers on Sterling K. Brown, like he
yeah,
might be
yeah.
important.
Oh yeah, who of course we know from the Black Panther,
Uh,
and
Panther.
then but
Yes. Yes, I had forgotten that. You are absolutely right. He's been in a ton of crap.
oh yes,
Lynn,
he
do you
has.
have anything in your notes about this actor here who plays the bartender?
No, I do not, which tells me I'm
Okay.
supposed to recognize him.
Um, no, you would not recognize him yet, but
Okay.
this is Ty Olson, and he will appear later in the series as a different character. So he's one of the actors who gets oh, Dean
Oh
drinks
yes,
something. Yay!
yes.
Um, all right, I'm gonna pause this for a second while we
Oh,
check
I
our
had that.
It's
cards.
pathetic when we get so excited over them having a beer and
Uh,
actually drinking out of the damn thing.
The thing I feel not very good about myself over is when I get excited to see them cry and like you'll just see the tear like hovering on the lashes and I'm like, God damn it, cry. Cry, baby. Yeah, so Ty Olson here is playing a character named Eli. So he will appear as a different character later in the season or series, excuse me, but he's a much beloved character and actor by the fandom. So a lot of when he shows up here, when people are on a rewatch, they're like, "Oh my goodness, it's Ty!" So yes, we're very excited. And then we've got this line from Dean where he says, "Sleep all day, party all night," which is a reference to the Lost Boys,
Oh,
obviously a
okay.
vampire film. So,
Hmm.
okay, let's check our Supernatural game
Hmm.
cards to see if any of us have Dean eats or drinks.
Which I do.
I
Oh, good
did.
for you. I don't. I don't have anything, and I'm really sad.
Of course, they had to pull
Andy,
up. They stopped at a very reasonable speed. And then they started again at a very reasonable, measured pace with no tire squealing.
very
So thanks.
responsible.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
And of course, the camera lingers on the now empty table. So
uh-huh.
Sterling K. Brown
Absolutely.
is now gone.
Hmm.
Um, all right.
So,
Well,
hit
on
it.
that great disappointment. So Lynn has one. Andy, you
Yep.
did not have one.
I do have one.
Oh,
I
you
had the
did. So
eating
I
one
was
as
the
well.
only one. I drank anyway, but I didn't have one. Okay, I
Yep.
am still just the free square.
Ah, you got to catch up.
Well, yeah, I'm drinking for three, but the bingo cards are being stingy.
All right, so the guys have now left the bar, and now we see we we see we see that the gentleman is now who turns out his name is Gordon
Mhm.
has is now trying to sneak up on the guys, and we see in a brief moment here that that does not go quite according to plan.
Now, this is some
Eh,
great camera work, though. I love this shot where like the camera's
mhm,
just kind of constantly pivoting around him and like,
mhm.
come over here, look, it's empty. Come over here, still empty. Come back this way. Oh, look, there they are.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, I love this shot right here coming up
yeah,
behind him, and then it's you think that he's right there, and then boom,
there they
right
are.
on him.
And Lynn, this will make you happy. It is pissing rain, and all three of them are standing in the rain getting wet, and that will make you happy.
Yes.
So they're all
Hey, and I lo- and I love that line there where they say not quite so fast, Chachi, and that's of course a line from the that's toward the 1980s sitcom Joni Loves Chachi.
Joni loved Chachi, and was Chachi in
Happy Days,
Happy
along
Days, and then they both
along
got
with
their
Joni.
spin-off. Yeah,
Yes, along with
yeah, I was
Joni.
gonna say I was pretty sure. Um, this is
So,
a great. Well, one, I love the shot with the boys standing next to the car and the light through the rain. Like, I think that's a really pretty shot.
mhm.
Um,
So yeah,
and then you have
I
this.
love how he just pulls out that weapons thing. It's like, so just so you can see. But this conversation to me is very interesting because he
I think
kind
it's
of makes
great.
a point of like saying like letting the boys know that he knows quite a bit about them, about John,
Yeah,
and all of that. And the boys are like, wait a second, we've never even heard of you. So they're very quickly getting on the defensive here, which, right, of course, as he's playing around with all the weapons in in his arsenal.
yeah, we've paused it briefly, but so one, he does, as Lynn, as you just said, he pulls that weapons rack out from because the El Camino doesn't have a trunk. Right. So he pulls that weapons rack out, and the light just glints on that scythe looking thing that we saw in the cold open. So right away we know this is the guy. So what we saw in the cold open, we assumed, because it's very standard horror flick trope, that this was a human woman being chased by a monster. And then the guys are doing their check, and they're like, oh, wait a second, that was a vampire. And now the thing chasing her
Yeah.
through the woods was a human hunter. And now we get, because of that look at that side, we know that Gordon is the one who killed her. So this is an interesting scene here, and it's building up to
Yeah.
something. For that reason, the other reason I paused it is, just to comment a little more on what you were saying, Lynn, about we realize that in this season they start to expand the boys' world. In the first season you could sort of be forgiven for thinking that the Winchesters are the only hunters in the country.
Yeah.
And this, so now we've got Harvell's Roadhouse. We're seeing there are other hunters that they share information. We've got now Gordon, like he knew John. He knows
Yeah.
that the Winchesters have this reputation in the hunting community, and John kept the boys away from other hunters, that they know nothing about this network of hunters. And that's something that's going to come up again later in the series. So it's an interesting moment when we get here. And Gordon says, guess there's a lot your dad never told you, huh?
Yeah,
And
but
we
notice.
know
Oh, we
John
know. Uh-huh.
kept a
But
lot to
notice
himself.
notice how though now Gordon is the first one who doesn't say, and John and I had a falling out, which is
He
what
doesn't.
every other person on planet Earth seems to say.
Yeah.
And and he's like one of the first ones who doesn't start with that.
Which,
Which
if
we
you had to speculate why he doesn't say it,
yeah. I was saying
because that means John didn't spend a lot of time with this guy. Because
yeah.
anybody John spent time with, they had a falling out.
Exactly. Which I mean, we kind of figure out why in a little bit, but I was trying not to spoil things. But yeah, yeah, it
I
becomes
appreciate that. At the same time, I think anybody, if this is the first time anybody's watching this episode is with us, that's probably a mistake. You should watch it all the way through before. Okay, so hitting play here, hitting
yeah.
play. There it goes.
So yeah, so we hear Gordon talking about how he's been going after these things for over a year now, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of a work alone kind of guy." And Dean's like, "Oh, come on, dude, I've been itching for a hunt." And he's like, "Yeah, well, there's another thing like two towns over. Why don't you go and get that thing and let me deal with this?" And Dean's like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the look that's written all over
Hmm.
both the both the guys' faces, which I know I've commented dozens of times of like half the time all you have to do is look at their faces to know exactly what's going on in their head.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um,
So, so
I
now,
think this is kind of a fun detail as well here. So Gordon goes off on his own to hunt the
yeah,
vampires. We catch up with the vampire, and I'm doing quotes, like he's legitimately a
yeah,
vampire, but he's got a night job.
Yeah.
Like this is a very like this vampire's gone legit. Like he's
yeah.
trying to assimilate here.
Hmm.
Like this is everything about this episode twists our expectations of what we expect to see. Or,
I was going to say
Well,
he's living a humdrum lifestyle, but
he's living a very humdrum lifestyle. He's a night watchman at a lumber yard. Like, th- what? Like
well,
compared. the vampire nest we met in Dead Man's Blood. Like something weird is going on here.
Well, that and also, if you remember from Dead Man's Blood, the one thing they comment on is that, and then I'll be quiet so that Andy can talk about the the fight scene, is that they can smell people from like a mile away.
Yeah.
So how could he not smell Gordon coming from a mile away?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. We're probably gonna need to suspend a little disbelief here. Um, so Andy, what do you think of
Okay.
this here?
So the start of it, I mean, I do like the mini jump scare. I forget if it was a cat or something that that jumps at him first. But then um, initially, I'm I'm a little turned off by the shaky
By the
it,
what? I'm sorry.
shaky cam.
Shaky cam.
I do not like shaky cam in a fight scene.
Hmm.
I want to see what's going on. I want to see what the people are doing. And if you want them to be doing things that are beyond their capabilities, then perhaps change the choreography to something they that they can do and do a little bit more realistically. Don't just shake it up so that I can't tell what's going on.
Mm.
But um, I I will say that I had some notes here about uh, he gets a punch and a kick. Uh, on the vampire from a position of disadvantage, but then when he's in a neutral position, uh, when the vampire is trying to like push buttons on the thing, I guess to turn this all on, then he doesn't take the opportunity to punch and kick. You know, I found that a little bit odd, but I will
So
have
for
good things to say as well.
well, I mean, if the fight sucks, that's why you're here to tell us the fight sucks because we can't tell. So, for people who don't have three black belts, when you say from a position of disadvantage versus a neutral position versus opportunity, like what is calling that out to you, and
So a neutral
what would make
position,
you identify
so
something as being one of those
um,
positions?
So where you have an opportunity to easily throw that kick, throw that punch, whereas if somebody had him bent over a machine or something, and he was able to uh, fire off a punch and a kick from a very odd, awkward position, or maybe he had his head cranked back, had grabbed his hair or his collar or something and pulled him back, and suddenly the guy from a, an awkward position is able to throw these kicks and punches where you can't really get your weight behind it is not so believable.
Gotcha.
But then if you're standing, your feet grounded and you got your hips under you and everything is right, and then then and you'll see this lots of times in movies where they will just uh, they'll stop and they'll allow somebody to do something because the plot demands it.
Right.
When that's when they could be throwing the punches and the kicks. Um,
Got it.
but we can continue the
But
thinking.
I was going to say
All right.
now I'm going to look at a fight scene a whole different way.
Well, and it is something, it's interesting you bring that up. That it is something that Supernatural does quite it like it's just kind of part of their visual storytelling language that they go handheld for fights. So prepare to be frustrated quite a bit through most of the fight. Okay, so at this point in the fight, Gordon, I think we can say, is probably at a disadvantage here. So the vampire has picked him up and has chucked him down on a belt in front of a saw that's running. So things are not going well for Gordon at this point in the fight.
Nope.
Which standard three act fight. This is now act two, where our hero is at a disadvantage in the fight. Um, so one thing I will say as well that I'm always kind of amused any show, and Supernatural falls victim to this as well, is you set up these characters with supernatural strength, speed. Lynn, to your point, this dude should have smelled Gordon coming.
Yeah.
And Gordon's kind of holding his own, is my perception. Potentially a little better than he really should be with a creature
Hmm.
that's substantively stronger. Now we're
So
going to find out. Go ahead.
I did want to ask. I'm not uh, fully aware of vampire physiology and abilities in this particular universe. So, but I assume that they're probably markedly stronger than a human.
Oh yeah.
It, yeah. Yeah, they're stronger, they're faster, they have better vision, hearing, smell. There's a decent amount in the supernatural lore about vampires that's different. Like they can go out in the daytime, they don't sparkle. Um their holy water does sort of fuck all to them. Stake through the heart does nothing. So the only way to dispatch a vampire, they say, is beheading. Now I'm going to assume burning it to ash probably will eventually get there. Like at some point, if you're on fire, your head's got to come off. But the standard way of dispatching vampires is by decapitation. There, I'm going to hit play because there's something about this fight that does bother me based on the vampire rules. um but yeah, Gordon, things are about to go badly for Gordon.
Yep. Oh yeah. I was, how how are they able to pull him out so easily?
Yeah, Sam and Dean to the rescue. And yeah, so Sam saves Gordon. So Andy, my question to you here is, and now Dean just cuts this vampire's head off with a saw, and we get like a really giant blood spatter in his face. And
Yep.
something I love about this is he turns around, look at Gordon and Sam's faces here. Like
And they're very
Sam,
different.
yes, Sam is distressed, and Gordon is like, "Yeah, badass." So, and Dean knows he's gone too far. We're on a black screen. I'm gonna pause it again.
Okay,
Um,
I already paused it.
yeah, I started to play it again. So we're definitely paused now. We've paused like three times, but so Andy, knowing that you don't have the background of where things are for this season, other than what we saw in the then segment, what they're going for here is that Dean is a hot mess. And so they're trying to communicate to us that this is unnecessarily brutal. So my question
Yeah.
to you is, when you look at this fight, the way that he like stabs the vampire and then like takes his head off, is that something, like, does this look gratuitous to you? Or when you look at this, do you see like, yeah, that was a good plan. That worked.
So when it's understood that he's fighting against the vampire, then uh, to me, the part where you can see him pouring it on is the punching, because he gets him with the harpoon thing, which I thought that was legit, and I like how they introduced the saw. They introduce it, and it's going to come back around. It's going to be used on the vampire, but I do like how they introduce it, and it's a, a, a threat in the environment that is going to come back around. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that. But where you see his rage and maybe being unnecessary is uh, the punching part. He just takes a couple of shots at the vampire's face before beheading him.
Gotcha. No, that's a good point.
So,
I hadn't caught that.
um, but then I did have. Oh, I want to say about the vampire. The way that he fights makes sense for a creature that is supposed to be stronger than human beings are. To be because
Okay.
he does nothing flashy. It's not like how in Buffy every vampire knows at least a little kung fu.
Yes.
You know, um, but it would stand to reason that if you were fighting primarily against humans, and you're stronger than them and you're faster than them, you can just go straight for them. Like like a lion or a tiger doesn't have to mess around and do fancy stuff. They just pull you over and rip your throat out. And so the vampire just using simple techniques uh, and just coming straight at the guy is pretty believable. So I like that
Mm,
that 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 they treated him in that way in this
cool.
fight.
Oh,
Oh, I do have to say, um, Gordon should probably have a broken nose though from some of the shots that he took in the face from the vampire. And once again, now learning that yes, in fact, the vampires are stronger. Yes, he should have a broken nose. But do you want to know my grade for the fight?
yes.
Please.
It was a C,
Okay.
I'm
mostly
not
for the
surprised.
but this see mostly for the shaky cam is what earned it its C. Um, and I do like a longer fight scene, but the
Mm,
truth is that uh, a short fight scene is probably more realistic. So
yeah.
uh, yeah, so
Now,
C for this one.
now, did it not bother you that Sam and Dean were able to get Gordon away from the vampire as easily as they did, knowing the amount of strength the vampire should have had?
So the way that it's edited is maybe a little bit clunky. Um, if if they maybe could have shown because it's Sam pulls him out. Um, and I don't have any problem with the pulling out. It just I feel like it doesn't happen quickly enough for where the saw actually was. um,
Yeah.
but otherwise, no. If it's remarkably easy to drag someone on a slidey surface.
Okay.
It's I kid you not. It's even people who are bigger than you. It is remarkably easy to just grab them by their coat, grab them by their ankles or whatever, just pull and they'll slide right. It's yeah. So I didn't have any
Whee!
problem with that. And
Okay.
if we're assuming that Dean is distracting the vampire releases his grip. Sam could easily pull him out of there. I didn't have issue with that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Now the
Fantastic.
one I don't, I mean, because of course, as we know, I love to I love to look at the oopsies. And once I read it, I did notice it that the blood splatter on Dean's face changes from one scene to the next.
It does. It does. Um, so I can't guarantee it's this scene, but Jensen has complained about, and I believe it's this one. I just can't confirm it, that they had rigged this with like a blood cannon that he just like boom, like he just got hit in the face, and you can see him flinch. Like it had some. Oh, there's so many jokes here, but he got a shot in the face and it had some force behind it. Might have stung if it got in his eye, I don't know. But then he complained about it like, come on guys, does it really have to be that bad? And from then on, anytime blood spatter is supposed to get on their faces, the lady from props, whose name is Robin, would just like dip a paintbrush in the stage blood and just go like and like just like fan the brush, and it would get like just a little bit of spray, and he's like, that's all you had to do, that was it, you didn't have to go full cannon.
Oh God, that's wimpy. Come on,
Uh,
Jensen.
but but it works. It works, and he doesn't have to worry about taking a shot in the face. I'm hitting play. um. Oh, okay. So
Oh,
now
and now
Dean's
and
still
now he's
drinking.
drinking again.
He's drinking again. I love this conversation here. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens here in this conversation between
Yeah.
them. We're going to talk about this. Go ahead, Lynn.
I just love, well, don't love, but I find it so fascinating to watch Sam's face because he's just disgusted.
Yeah.
And it's just, and it's like the two of them, Dean and Gordon, are clearly bonding. And Sam is like, really?
This
Like,
guy?
yeah, it's like, really? Like, why in the, like, I don't get it. And like the two of you just, I'm like, he's so not, he's so, I hate to say down with what, because that sounds like the most ridiculous expression in the world, but
It, it is
he,
transporting me back to the 90s. But yeah, no, I mean, Sam can see that there is clearly something not right in Gordon's head.
yes,
Um, and he also knows that Dean is not being himself. So, like, the two of them are sort of enabling each other, and he's just
hmm,
like, I'm out. Now, let me tell you what I'm mad about. So, one, we have a Sammy
yep,
and a quirky motel room. So, you know
yes,
what? I know we're pausing it an awful lot this time around, but let's check our cards here for a Sammy. I wish so very badly we could do Sam drives, but the
nope,
way they edit this is bullshit because, like, you see him with the keys, you even see the car in the parking lot, and you hear the driver's side door close, and then you see
it,
Sam in the motel room, and then Sam chucks the keys onto the little cactus thing. So clearly he's driven it, and they couldn't be bothered to show us one tiny scene, one tiny
nope,
shot with him
of him driving.
behind the wheel as the car's moving, and it drives me crazy. Okay, so I have a Sammy.
And I,
I'm feeling cheated of a square.
yeah, nope, I have both a Sammy and a quirky motel room.
Oh, good for you. I have a wacky diner, but that's a roadhouse.
It was
It's
a
not a
bar.
diner.
Yeah.
Sorry, what, Andy?
I was gonna say, yeah, I had the wacky diner too,
Oh, get the
but I
grab
don't,
that
I
wacky
don't think
diner
this.
for yourself.
No, I don't think it qualifies. Yeah.
Oh, wacky diner. Sorry, you're saying wacky diner, and I'm hearing quirky
Quirky.
motel room. My fault.
Because they
Uh,
sound so much alike.
I know, I know. Get it right. Get it right, Liz. Well, okay, so just that one Sammy for me. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I want to blather on about. Um, okay, so there before we hit play, there's a couple actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and hit play and talk while this is running. Otherwise, our podcast is gonna be 4 hours long. But
Oh, that
um
there's something so wrong about that cactus. I mean,
the
there's so
cactus is
many.
happy to see Sam. Can't blame it.
There's so many bad jokes.
So many
So,
jokes. But this conversation here is fantastic. There's
mhm,
so much going on here. And, um, we get this story of Dean hunting when he's a teenager.
yeah,
And he realizes that his life is just completely different from all the other kids. But what I really love about this is they're trading these stories about how they got into hunting. Gordon
hmm,
has this story about his sister. We know Dean's story already. So
yeah,
the prequel series, The Winchesters, there's this line from the pilot of The Winchesters where John Winchester asks if everyone's origin story is so tragic. And the response he gets back is the only thing worse for a hunter than how it starts is how it ends. And there's an inherent tragedy. Like, people don't get into hunting because they want to, they get into
yeah,
because they have to.
yeah,
So I think that's kind of cool aspect about this. Dean has this statement he makes about, got to put my game face on, can't talk to Sammy about any of this, but truth is I'm not handling this very well, which is but, like, I think that we see Dean here really kind of consciously stepping into John's shoes. Like he's trying to take over John's role. He calls Sam Sammy, like, and a crazy number of times in this episode. It's like, it, I think we also see like a really conscious foray into the Dean voice here. Um, the last thing I'm gonna blather on about is this need that Dean has for things to just be simple, like just a straight black and white, monsters bad, humans good. So between whatever John whispered to him in the hospital in the season opener, Dean's miraculous recovery that we know was anything but a miracle,
Yeah.
and John's sudden death, like there is a lot that is fucking up Dean's head. And he just needs one thing in his life to be simple,
Yeah.
and he's not going to get it.
Yeah. Now, I love the line in here where we saw it just a few seconds back, where he's like, I always thought dad was indestructible and nothing was going to get him. And
Yep.
then poof, he was gone.
Mhm.
I just, that line is, there's so much in that line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's done really well. And I mean, man, Jensen delivers a hell of a performance in that scene. I love it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, now I love that. I love, so now of course we've got Sam talking to Ellen, and this I love this. I love this conversation
this is great.
because yeah, because it goes from, oh yeah, I know Gordon, he's a great hunter,
Great
to
hunter.
stay the fuck away from him in like the blink of an eye. Like,
I agree. And the other thing I think is cool about this performance here from Sam Ferris is, she's so maternal. She's like,
mm-hmm,
"Hey, sweetie, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while." Like she's very motherly, and like the second she knows they're around somebody she perceives to be dangerous, she's like, "Oh no, no, you let him handle it. You get out of town. Like you do not want to be within 1,000 yards of that guy. He is dangerous."
yeah. Now I love, now when we're back, now of course we're back with Gordon and Dean, and I love watch his facial expression right there.
Yeah.
He, it's like a switch goes with him. It's like
Yep.
he realizes that shit, things aren't right. Like it's written all over his face, and it's like he
Yep.
suddenly he goes from bonding with the guy to being like, oh fuck,
Ooh,
this isn't
something's
what
weird
I
here.
thought. This isn't what I thought I was getting into.
And you know what? I love that you mentioned that here because he's going to continue to say everything's fine, but you're absolutely right. We can see it in his face. In his gut, he knows everything is not fine.
Yeah.
Quick mention, this motel here, you may recognize it because we saw it previously in Hell House. This is a frequent um, filming location for them. So we're going to see this motel pretty frequently, and you can always spot that like pyramid symbol over the door.
And now Sam knows he's in trouble because it's just, and but he thinks for a brief moment there he got away, but it now is written all over his face that yep,
Yep.
that
And I mean, this is an old school motel room with the old television with the bell, and he gets pausing, he gets
yep,
conked in the head.
yep,
So,
with
and I would say he gets knocked out,
yes,
and we're about to see him tied up. So I think we can check our cards for all three of those.
yep, I've got
Um,
someone gets knocked out.
oh, good for
Um,
you.
and
I have
I have, nope, wait a minute, that's Sam gets hit on, not Sam gets hit on the head, because
no.
no, he didn't. Slight,
I
slight difference there.
out of all of that, I just have Sam gets conked on the head. I don't.
Oh wait a
I
minute,
am
cause
not
wait a
doing
minute,
well here.
cause we're about to have one of the boys gets tied up, right?
Yep, yep, we got that
Yep,
one.
yep, yep, and I have that
Oh,
one.
I don't have that one either.
I have none of these.
Oh, that sucks, Andy.
Oh goodness, this is the cards are stingy this evening.
I need someone to
Oh,
say "son of a bitch" and kick in a door. If somebody said "son of a bitch" while kicking in the door, that would be better. We could have.
we've been known to have that happen. We have had that happen.
So, excuse me. So the last thing I'm going to mention here,
That's
so this
important stuff.
bridge here that they're driving over, we're going to see that again in the series too. This is a familiar filming location. So as they're driving here with a knocked out Sam, so Jared broke his wrist during the filming of that scene that when he Sam gets clocked in the head with the phone, Jared landed on his hand wrong and he
Oh,
broke a bone in his wrist, which they didn't know at this point that he had broken it. So they started filming the next episode after this before they realized he'd broken his hand. Um, so we're gonna be talking about that scene right there for the next two episodes.
so,
And Andy,
uh,
you should recognize this person here.
Yes, I recognized her immediately. It's Tara
Yeah.
from Buffy.
Yep, this is Amber Benson. She played Tara on Buffy. Much beloved character. And like they all talked about how much they loved working with her. That they just loved Amber Benson and they wanted to bring her back very badly. Um, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled to see if she ever pops back up in the show again.
so this is when we find out that there that these vampires are actually not killing humans, they're
Right.
surviving on cattle.
They are. And we get this great line here where she says, I know your kind. She's talking to Sam. She said, I know
Yes.
your kind. Once you have the scent, you'll keep tracking us. It doesn't matter where we go. And this sounds so much to me like what John said to Sam and Dean in Dead Man's Blood, that once vampires get your scent, and that's why they did the whole like burning the skunk weed and putting the
Yeah.
ashes in their clothes to try to disguise their scent. So I love that like we're constantly getting this reversal they keep poking at this question of who's the monster and
Yeah.
who's the good guy. And they oh god, and this is lit so beautifully
Oh yeah.
by Serge Laudessier. Like this is this is some beautiful lighting here.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing Sam's face the way you know how I keep talking about how they kind of half light it.
Yeah,
I love, and oh, his facial expression here is
yeah, like
amazing.
they're
Like
letting him go.
he is so torn. Now apparently his hands are not actually tied, and he actually lets him drop at one moment, and I can't
Yeah.
spot it. Can't spot it.
Yeah, because you can see, like, when he gets in, his hands aren't behind his back anymore. It's possible. I don't know what the shooting order was. It's possible that they didn't tie his hands because his wrist was already broken, so that they didn't want to aggravate that. It could just be, just hold your hands behind your back. Nobody will
I think
notice.
it was that just because it was actually in the oops thing of just like, yeah, they didn't actually do it. They just told him to hold his hands behind his back and didn't think that his arms would be visible in that
Yeah,
scene.
and but the viewers are eagle-eyed.
Hmm. And I love, and Sam, of course, walks in and is like, can I talk to you outside for a couple of moments?
And something I do like about that though is I like about the scene, but then it's going to annoy me later. Is so Sam, excuse me, Dean and Gordon are trying to figure out where these vampires are, and they make this whole argument about how like there's a ton of farms they still have to search. But then Sam, when he comes back, he's like, no, no, they just let me go. Dean asks him, well, where did they take you? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I couldn't see. We went over a bridge. And that's all he says. Um, he keeps insisting, like, no, they let me go without a scratch. Now, later, it's going to come up in a minute here when Gordon is going to take the car. That's going to happen in a couple of minutes. Now Gordon knows exactly where he needs to go
Yeah.
somehow. Like he couldn't find him 5 minutes ago, but now suddenly he knows where to go. And now Sam remembers all kinds of details because he counted. So it's like he knows his brother's not stable and he doesn't want to tell him where these vampires are. But once he realizes that the vampires are in danger from Gordon, now he starts sharing details with Dean about how to find them. I think that's a really well done scene.
Yeah.
I
Or do
do
you
like how he
think?
says. I do like how he says though that when Dean says if it's supernatural we kill it, and then Sam says no, our job is hunting evil,
Yes.
and he's working to bring Dean around to the notion that a vampire might not necessarily have to be evil.
Yep. Yeah, I like that too. Now, we call
Oh,
anytime an actor or a character says the word supernatural, we've been calling that a meta moment. So we'll check our cards in just a minute.
that counts. I
But
have that square.
yay! But I want to let this play out here because, like,
Oh,
this is
this is
like Dean
huge.
just clocks him. And
Yeah.
then you can see Dean like, right, like Dean is itching for a fight. And he clocks his brother and then just like he waits for it. And I think that there's something about um sometimes when a person is hurting, they they'd rather hurt on the outside than hurt on the inside. And so I think he's trying to provoke a fight here with Sam that he has every intention of losing. That he's in pain, his head is a mess, and he would rather feel anything else other than this mess in his head.
Yeah. Well, also I think the fact that Sam commented that Dean is using Gordon as a substitute for John.
Yes. Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
oh,
Yeah.
like
That just
Oh, they drove off responsibly, didn't they?
they
Oh,
have remained responsible. Okay, so I'm pausing here. Let's check our cards for
I have a
um,
meta moment.
a meta moment. And I don't recall having one of those. This is some bullshit.
Well, you
Can't
can
we have
always
some
drink from
decent,
me.
respectable porn? Like drinking anyway.
if I
Oh.
if we had the
Oh,
porn and then the son of a bitch door kick, I'd take it, but uh, we're not getting any porn. I don't think we're
No,
getting a door kick
no,
either.
no porn. As as badly as you guys want it. Nope, nope, nope.
no. Okay, hitting play.
So, uh,
So again,
so,
how Gordon knows where to go, I'm not following. But Sam is a badass who
mm-hmm.
counted and knows exactly where to go. Um, and I mean clearly, so Amber Benson, her character's name is Lenore, and clearly Lenore is the alpha of this particular. Well, she's not an alpha, but like she's the pack leader of this
Yeah,
particular nest. Um, and we can see Eli really like as much as he doesn't want to, like she's in charge and he kind of falls in line like okay, as much as I hate this idea, like Lenore says we go, we go. um And so we're seeing them. They're packing up. They're getting ready to run. So Andy, the piece of information you don't have is this is a great shot of the El
Yeah.
Camino driving across this bridge. The first episode where vampires are introduced in Supernatural, we learned that the boys thought there was no such thing. That John had thought they had been that they were extinct, that they had been completely eradicated. Um, so they're not a prime. It's not like Buffy the Vampire Slayer where she fought other monsters, but vampires were her primary adversary. That in Supernatural they're not a commonly occurring. It's not like they don't
Yeah.
happen at all, but it's not their most common monster.
Thank God.
I know you're not a big fan of the
I
vampires.
am not a big fan of them. So yeah,
No,
I am not complaining in the
no.
least.
Now, this house, if you've seen the whole series all the way through, this house may look familiar to you. I'm fairly confident this is Kane's house. Um, so this may look familiar. Um,
Uh so
oh, this is brutal too.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Dead
Eh,
man's blood.
Dead man's blood, bitch.
Uh
And
so
this is
now
brutal. Go ahead.
mm-hmm. So now
Like the way he just stabs her slowly. Sorry, I told you to go ahead and then I kept talking. Go ahead.
well I was gonna give it a second while it's going, but to me this next scene I would call this a torture. Because I
Oh,
mean
100%. I
because
would absolutely call this torture because he's trying to get information out of her about where the rest of her nest is. Um, do you want to pause it now and look, or do you want to let it play through?
let's let this play through because I
Okay,
mean this is such a powerful scene where you
love it.
really start like the morality of
Yeah.
the like just I want to say like the morality of where like monster versus just like
Yes,
who is the monster in
I
this.
completely agree. Like because I mean, we saw Dean torture Meg in
Mhm.
season 1. So he's not above torturing a monster for information. But I think the problem here is that Gordon likes it. It's
Yeah.
not just him to, I mean, there's some obviously some moral questions around whether Lenore and her nest are monsters at all. But then it's it's Gordon is visibly enjoying torturing her. And so I think there are a couple of different things that are making Dean and Sam, obviously, but Sam's been uncomfortable, but what's bringing Dean around to his brother's way of thinking.
Mhm. Well, especially he when he just says that yeah, he killed his sister and Dean goes, you did what?" Because
Yeah.
it's like, uh yeah, but you knew and then he goes, "But you knew they weren't killing anyone."
Yep. Yep. Which
And
is why I
it's
think,
all
I'm
just
sorry.
black and white. And especially with Sam, everything's 10,000 shades of gray.
Yeah. Oh, and now here's where
Oh,
Gordon makes a mistake. He attacks Sam.
yep.
That's a huge mistake to do that in front of Dean. Um, but yeah, it is really this kind of moral quandary of it that and we had seen it a little bit earlier too. I I'm going to come back to that thought in a minute because this is huge here.
Mhm. I love this. You still think she's not a monster? You still think she's
Yeah.
not the evil bloodthirsty? And I love how she's like, "Nope. Nope, I can control this. I'm not going there." It's
Yeah.
sort of like a drug addict who talks themselves down like, nope,
Yeah.
I am not going there. I am not getting that high. Nope.
Nope.
I will not go down that path.
I think that's a really great analogy. Yeah. I completely agree with you. Mm,
So yeah, so Sam is still, I mean, Dean is still holding the gun. He's like, I will get
yeah.
you out of here. I
Yeah. So Sam leaves with Lenore.
yeah.
And now we've got Gordon has brought a knife to a gunfight. All right.
Yeah.
Andy,
But
I'm gonna make one comment and then I'm gonna let you take over from here. But so Dean has been itching for a fight. Sam wouldn't give him one.
no.
And now he realizes like, okay, yeah, Gordon puts the knife down. And
Yeah,
yeah,
really
right.
dumbest move Sam could have done is,
Uh,
I mean, Dean could have done is
You
taking
see
that.
him like, ah, crap. So
Yeah.
Andy, I'm gonna let you take this over here.
Okay, so there's a lot that happened fast. But this fight, I think actually there's one point in it I remember that there was a switch, some kind of reversal of fortune that didn't necessarily make sense. Like maybe it's coming right here. Okay, he gets that, and
So we've got a leg sweep here.
Someone gets thrown against a
then
wall.
Oh, I had missed that. You are right. Well done.
oh, incidentally, the elbow to the side of the head, that's for most.
Love that. Whoops.
What
Sorry.
about it? I'm sorry.
So the elbow to the side of the head is going to put most people, well, it'll put a lot of people out uh, if
So
you hit
that
him
should
as
have
hard
knocked him out.
as he did there. But yeah, well, I mean, he's clearly goofed up by that, so that's legit. There was some good ducking away from the knife, and I thought he was going to engage. There's a point where his jacket popped up, and I thought he was maybe going to take it out and use it to try to um, like throw over the knife or tangle up the knife. But that fight, I actually I think that's a better one than the one earlier on. I'll give it a B minus.
Okay. So we've paused it on the black screen here. And so we'll have to check our cards now for a torture and a thrown against the wall. So interestingly enough, and Andy, I'm interested in your opinion on this. This morning, so I listened to the Supernatural Then and Now podcast hosted by Rob Benedict and Richard Speight Jr. And the episode that dropped today was an interview with Jared's stunt double, whose name is Mike Carpenter. And one thing that he brought up was that when they were choreographing fights for the Winchesters, they've always tried to keep in mind that these guys were fighting for their lives. Like these were they're in fights by and large. Now this is against another person, but by and large they're in fights against monsters, and it's a kill or be killed situation. So as much as audiences expect a certain amount of flash, they really wanted the fights to have a lot of grit. That these were not John Wick fights. That they were brawlers, and that needed to really come through. So I thought it was interesting that we were going to be having this conversation this afternoon, and then this morning that happened to be the episode that dropped. So with that in mind, when watching the two fights that we see in this episode, um, Andy, what is your perception of how well they succeeded at that goal? And then and I want to come back around to what you said about giving this fight a B. So let's you could take those two in any order you like.
Okay, well, I'll throw this in there. The biggest question I think I have with that fight though is that um, after the after the leg sweep and he knocks the guy down, the next thing that happens is because I believe it was Dean sweeps Gordon, I think
Correct.
that one, and then he immediately picks Gordon up. So my biggest question would be, why not just pounce on him on the ground if you're really going for that brawl kind of thing? Start start kicking him in the ribs or something, or find an end table to throw on top of him or something.
Mm,
But to pick him up and get him back up on his feet when you have him in a position of disadvantage, take take advantage of it and pound him while he's down. That said, I will say I now that I hear you say that, I do see them, the way that they will often throw their opponent into something. Like that's more of a brawly kind of style.
mhm,
Um, um, Now there are a number of times where they will use certain locks and things, not so much in like throws or trips, but they will use a lot of locks. Sometimes I think because it gives you an opportunity to have somebody say something, while they're locked up, like maybe somebody has somebody chicken winged and pushes them up against the post. You have an opportunity to say something or to get a good look at the actor's facial expressions. So yeah, there is some cinematic aspects to how they're going to do these things. But yeah, I would say in general, there is a little bit of fancy sometimes,
mhm.
um, but most of the time there there does seem to be a lot of just punching. I think there were some good ones where somebody closed and didn't get like a full tie clinch on a guy, but did throw some knees, which would be a brawly thing to do, and to throw people into to posts and windows and coffee tables and
Mm,
bookshelves.
Awesome.
very
Awesome. Thank
cool.
you. So you thought that this was a letter grade better fight than the one that we saw earlier. And what is it that buys it that extra credit compared to the one we saw earlier?
I think it was easier to see what was going on.
Less shaky
I
cam.
think that's so there was less shaky cam, um, and yeah, I think mostly the shaky cam, and there were more, I think, individual techniques. I don't really want to use that word, but there were more individual things that were done.
Gotcha.
So like there were some more punches. They got the sweep in there. They pushed each other into different things. Gordon was swiping with a knife, and uh, uh, he used different. I think the one time he uh, kind of makes a stabbing motion, the other time he makes a slashing motion, and Dean has to react differently
Mm.
to each one. So yeah, I give this one a B minus. So,
B minus. All right. Fantastic. Okay, so we are checking our cards. So, Lynn, you are absolutely right. I did not have that in my notes. That is a throw against a wall. So, we're looking for a torture, a throw
Yeah.
against a wall, and then, Lynn, if you don't object, we are about to get a heartfelt bromance,
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. Yeah, yes, we
So,
are. We are absolutely about
while
to get
we're
a heartfelt moment.
while we're
so
here, why don't we
I
check
can
for
mark it.
those
Oh,
Yep,
three?
yep, absolutely, Andy.
do,
Yep.
do all three of us have a
Um,
heartfelt bromance?
I don't.
All right.
I no. I
I
don't
don't.
have any
I
of
just
them.
I just happen to know it's coming.
This is, oh my goodness, this is insane.
And Andy, just because I know it'll make your day, baby's tires are about to squeal.
Really?
Yep,
Oh, I missed that one as well.
yep. Yep, baby's tires are about to squeal at the
I
end.
I will take your word for it. I did not catch that. Okay, so I have
Yep.
of those four, I have one. So
What do you guys
slumped
think
to
my
my
chances
friend.
are? What do you guys think my chances are of getting an exorcism involving a tie before the end
In
of
a
the episode?
vampire episode, exorcism
Just
seems a little unlikely.
just
Probably
like
not.
I happen to know that I am not getting a summoning ritual, which would give me five in a row.
Oh, you guys are doing way better than I am. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so let's get because I'm 99.9% positive that baby's tires squeal at the end because I
I
have it in
I
my
will
notes.
take your word for it. I did not pick up on it.
All right, so we
So
are.
we've hit play.
Yep, we have hit play, and I trying to think if Dean has said the line here that I love about how it's like about how yeah, this worked out so well for you. You're the one that's tied up.
This is the worst tied to a chair job ever. Like,
Oh, I thought so too.
hmm I was like, he could so easily get out of that.
oh my goodness, this is a terrible. Like, here, let me just wrap a rope around you twice. There's no way you could possibly get out of this chair, especially after Dean clocks him in the face and knocks him over. Like, there's but I mean, this is mean where he just says like, "Okay, we're going to leave you tied to this chair. We'll call somebody to come get you in 2 or 3 days." Like
Ugh.
that's that's just mean. Now,
Oh,
he
look!
went
Look at
after
the
Sam.
face. Look at that face. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, you son of a bitch, get out of my face.
Yeah. No, like Gordon is no
Oh.
fan of theirs. Like they have made an enemy here.
Mm-hmm.
Um and even
He kind of
Sam, look
shakes
at
his
Sam's
like,
face.
ow. I love this. I'm good now. We
We
can
can go now.
go.
But
I
Sam is
love.
just looking at Gordon on the ground like, okay, that was sort of not necessary. But that guy that guy cut Sammy.
Yeah.
Like there's no way Dean lets that stand.
Oh, I love.
This is
This is fun. Okay, clock me one. What?
yeah,
No, I won't
yeah,
even. I won't even hit you back. Come on, clock me. And he's like,
yeah.
no.
I hit you, you hit
You.
me, and then we're square.
Yeah, I love this. Looks like you just went 12 rounds with a cement brick. I am not hitting you.
No. This is a
Oh.
gorgeous conversation here. I
Hmm.
love this. And there's a
Hmm.
prejudice subtext here. When Dean is like, Dad taught us to hate these things. And now that I get to know one, maybe they're not so bad,
That's right.
and it's making him reevaluate everything he thought he knew.
Hmm.
So it's a really interesting subtext that they layer into this episode here.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that line of how many things have we killed? I know I'm not quoting it exactly, but how many things have we killed that didn't deserve to die? When he goes, well, you didn't kill Lenora, but yeah, but everything in me told me to do it.
Yep. And what stops him is Sam.
Yeah.
So for all that Dean it understands himself to be Sam's protector. Oh my God. And this shot here
Oh,
with
look at
that
that
light
shot.
flare, we're going to talk
Oh,
about that in a second. That is just,
oh
it's one of the most iconic shots in the whole series. But as
that
much as,
shot reminds me of who is that?
Tire squeal.
Tire squeal.
well, it's on gravel though.
It's a
Oh,
tire
come
squeal.
on.
Yeah, but the
I,
dirt picks up and the tires do like the tires do kind of like growl around.
but that's not us. All right. That is the end of our episode. Let me say this. If you really want the tire squeal, I won't fight you on it. I feel like it's cheating. Personally, I don't think this is a legit tire squeal because they're on gravel, but
I removed
we've
my mark.
cheated before. So,
See, now to me, it's the fact that I could. To me, that is a genuine. I feel that
I,
that is a genuine.
I disagree, but you're a grown ass adult. I can't stop. Like to me, if I don't hear that high pitched whine, like just because the tires are spinning doesn't mean they're squealing. But
I don't even
you wanna
have it, so I don't even have it, so it doesn't. So it does. I just have it in my notes. I don't have it on the card, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't have one either. Go figure. I haven't gotten hardly anything the entire episode. Um, but yeah, so folks, you decide for yourselves. Um, okay, so
So
the
how did we do?
well, before we talk about that, I just want to finish up a couple of thoughts here. So one, again, as much as Dean envisions himself as being Sam's protector, the one who holds Dean together is Sam. Like Sam is Dean's Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder who really holds him together. And then that last shot with Dean with that sun flare around his head, that the camera operator caught it and he told the first AD like, "Hey, we're getting some light flare here. Do you want to flag it?" Meaning, do you want to put up some kind of a screen to block it? And they decided on the spot, like, nah, let it go. And it's gorgeous.
Yes, it
It's
is.
such a happy accident. It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, it
Um,
reminds me of there's a photo of James Dean that's almost a duplicate of.
okay, interesting. I have
I,
not come across that. I will have to look for it.
I'm almost
Um,
positive. Like it, if it's not, it's very similar. Like it
I
reminds.
believe you. I'll have to look for it because yeah, Dean has some James Dean vibes. I would not be surprised if that's the case. Um, and yeah, the way that he like if we hadn't called it a meta moment earlier for the supernatural line, I would have called that a meta moment because to me, anytime an actor stares directly at a camera, I'm calling that a fourth wall break. So the last thing I'm going to mention is in the official companion volume for season two. There's a quote from Sarah Gamble where she talks about how Gordon is a cautionary tale because Gordon is what Dean becomes in 10 years if he doesn't have Sam asking these tough moral questions that he doesn't want to look at too closely, and that Sam is the one who really keeps Dean from being too militant, and kind of emulating dad too much. um so yeah, oh my goodness, love this episode, love it, love it.
Hmm. Oh yeah. So
All
how
right,
did we do on our cards?
how do we do? Well,
One, two,
I
three,
did not
six,
do
seven.
fantastic. I have a
Let's see.
whopping four.
I'd say I have a four in a row and a one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight.
Oh my goodness, you did so much better than I did. Good for you.
I
Hmm.
had
Andy, how
four.
about you?
I had four, not counting the free space, and I
Okay,
But
well,
was
we
it,
count that.
oh, we count the free space.
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
Then
absolutely.
I have five then, but
In a
I'm
row?
nowhere. No, 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 no. I'm nowhere even close to having any. Like I have two in a row.
I have, yeah, that's the most I have as well, is two in a row. All right, so I have two in a row for a total of four. So, Lynn, it seems like you have lost by the least. 'Cause you have four in a row. You have four in a row again. You had four in a row last time or the time before. Good for you. And then what, two, six, eight? Is
Eight.
that what I'm seeing?
Yep.
All right, good for you. You have lost by the least.
Hmm.
I am going to celebrate your victory.
Excellent. Someone may as well be drinking. God knows it's not going to be me tonight.
Mm, drinking for three.
I was saying,
And
unless
now
you have
here's the
ginger.
big question.
Hmm.
How are my teeth?
They're still very white.
You look white. All right.
Oh yeah, your tongue is
Okay.
not. Yeah, your
Yeah.
tongue is not. Well, your tongue is not pink. Let's put it that way.
No.
That's funny.
All right. So, one thing you loved and one thing you hated. Andy, would you like to go first or would you like to?
No, I would not go first.
All right.
uh,
So, Lynn, you go first then. One thing you loved, one thing you hated.
so I loved that it dove into the morality
Yeah.
of
Yeah, I agree.
of yeah of whether what makes it a monster and Dean's line of what if we killed things that didn't deserve to die. So I love that it and I love and I know you and I have talked about this before about how it dives into it, but then it doesn't neaten it all up with a nice little bow. Like
Yep.
it dives on into it, but then it talks about it, but it doesn't necessarily. It leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah. It just leaves those questions hang. Yeah. How
Yeah.
about something you hated?
So I know I have talked about this multiple times, but we know how much I hate it when it gets predictable and formulaic.
Mm.
So to me, it kind of dived into that again, where it
Say
was like,
more.
where it was like every time someone was by themselves, you knew someone was getting attacked. It was like, okay, can we get this a little more suspenseful? It's like, okay, the girl's in the woods, she's running, shit. But I mean, like, yes, we start almost every episode out like that.
Okay.
Then there's the vampire who should have smelled Gordon coming from a mile away, but we already talked about that.
Hmm.
But then, like, there was like that another scene, like the one that we usually start out with, the soft open. Then we've got Sam in the hotel room. It's like it it just felt very that repetitive formula of someone's alone, someone gets attacked, someone's alone, someone gets attacked. It's like, okay, we need to break this formula up a bit.
I hear where you're coming from, and without invalidating your perspective, because it is a valid perspective. The reason it didn't bother me is because I feel like they're using these horror film tropes
Yeah.
deliberately to set up an expectation and then break it, which is one of the things that I loved about this episode is we see the cold open. that's
Mhm.
a that's a formula we've seen a bazillion times before with
Yes.
the stupid run through the woods and the
Mhm.
fall down, and then chick gets killed, and if she's topless it's Friday the 13th. But it's but then we in retrospect we realize, oh, that's not an innocent human girl getting killed by a monster. That's a vampire being killed by a hunter. So I that's actually the thing that I loved about the episode is the way they set up these expectations and then completely subvert them. And they use that formula to make us question what's um I don't want to say what's real and what's not, but to we
what's
think
right?
we know
What's
what's
right?
coming. Say
Yeah.
it again.
What's right? But
What's right.
yes.
Yeah,
Well,
that we
yeah, but
think we know what's coming because we've seen it before, but then they go, "Oh, no, this is not what you think." So I see what you see, but it's actually because of how they use the formula, it's something that I really actually love about this episode.
yeah.
For me, the thing that I that I hated. And I think this is a great episode. This is really nitpicky. But back to that, the blood spatter on the blood cannon in, when Dean takes the shot in the face is, they'll set it up later in the series. We'll get more information on this. But in the supernatural universe, unlike traditional vampire lore where you have to be sort of on the verge of death, and then when you ingest a vampire's blood, that's how you get sired. The tiniest little bit of blood from it's almost like it's an infectious, like it's a virus, that the tiniest little bit of blood will turn someone into a vampire. Like there's a later season where you literally see someone getting like a drop of vampire blood and it turns them into a vampire. Dean gets
I
full
see
on
exactly where you're going with this.
shot in the face. It's on his lips. It's in his eyes. Like I wish there had been one little line where like Sam said, "Oh my God, did you get any in your mouth?" And Dean
Yeah.
was like, "No, I'm good." Yeah, I wish they had just
Yeah.
drop that in there just because like honestly and again it's such a small thing.
Well, no,
I
but
know I'm
that's
being
actually
really
a
nitpicky here.
really, really good point. Is that because they mentioned that in that's how she turns the one girl
Dead
in
man's
a
blood, yeah.
in Dead Man's Blood is that she cuts herself and spreads it all over her lips and forces the other girl to kiss her, and then that's how
Yep,
she transforms. So it's like so that I didn't even think of that.
yeah,
That splatter there should have been a mention because
we
anyone
should have
who
questioned it.
yeah yeah there absolutely should have been a question on
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
All right,
So
Andy,
is
have
that
we
something?
stalled enough? Have we bought you enough time?
Yes. So I just wanted to ask a quick question. Is that something that they have established already?
Not the quantities. They've established that you need to ingest vampire blood to be turned. They haven't made it clear that it literally can be a drop.
Yeah, I understand what you mean though, because there are plenty of movies and that I can think of where the slightest little line or the slightest little change could, you know, clear up the whole thing and make it consistent and follow its own rules. But all right, so what I liked was that Gordon had a few movie callback things happen in this episode. So when he's in the bar, he's Aragorn and off in the corner there, and
Yes.
he's
He's
even
even
he's even
smoking.
smoking. Yeah, he's got his
Yep.
drink, and he's just sitting in the corner looking at people, but he knows what he's looking at.
Yep.
And then later, when they go to check his for his vampy teeth, and he doesn't have them in Black Panther, they have
Yes.
the glowy like black light
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
this way.
glowy.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, and so yeah, I kind of thought that was cool because like his in that case his character actually did that in that movie. And
Well
then
spotted.
what I didn't like, yeah, I was hoping to see if they would have had some more in there. Um, but I don't know what year this episode came out.
So this is season 2. This would be 2006.
Okay, so that's actually before Black Panther
Prior.
came
Yep.
out. Yeah. What I didn't like was the El Camino because I've always detested El Caminos. I just maybe someday somebody can explain to me why anybody thinks they're cool. I've always thought that they were dumb. Uh, and I, I I've got a problem with the El Caminos.
The El Camino.
That's freaking
I get it.
funny.
Yeah. Like, is it a car? Is it a truck? Make up your
It,
mind.
it doesn't know.
It's, it doesn't know what it is.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, all right, friends. That, you know what? Hang on a second. I'm drinking for three.
Oh, I was going to say, I know this. Well, it counts to me.
Okay.
Oh, I
Now,
almost got you to spit it out all over the place. Usually it's the other way around.
yeah. Black vodka. Okay. That is last call. Andy, thank you for joining us. Uh, Thank you so much for coming along with us for the ride. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to tell your friends, like our videos, subscribe so it's easier for other people, or it's other for easier people to find us too. If you liked seeing Andy's fight notes, let us know in the comments. We'll see if we can finagle him to join us again. We love hearing from our SPN family. Please comment, subscribe, send us email. That's what those things
Yes.
are called.
Yeah, and please let us know some bonus content so that
Yes,
Liz and I can make another some more bonus videos.
we do. We always love making those. So let us know what you would like to hear us talking about.
Yes.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hunter Fuel Podcast. In our next episode, we will be watching season 2, episode 4, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, when Sam and Dean investigate the case of a guy whose girlfriend is way past her expiration date. Until then, stay safe, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.